Alright, what is up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jason Marcus. If you're new here on this channel, we talk about trans stuff, we talk about LGBTQ stuff, we talk about spirituality, consciousness, and self-development. Anyways, if you have not gotten a chance to go check out my other videos, go give those a look. Last week's video was on how I knew I was transgender. In that video I reacted to my first video I made on how I knew I was transgender, and this was pre-T, pre-op, all the good stuff. So basically this video, part 2, is basically just going to be a remake of part 1, but just an updated version, and hopefully more structured and shorter. How I knew I was transgender. So before I start this video, I want to make sure to say, because this is really very, very important. This is so dramatic. No, this is actually really important because I feel like this happens a lot to minorities, and just like, I don't know, I feel like just in general, like I feel like we sometimes will like listen to one person's experience or a couple people, and then we'll take what we heard and like overlay it and like apply it to everybody else that holds that identity, which that's just not good, because everybody's journey is uniquely unique, and so specifically for trans people, there's a wide range of how people come out, how people find out they're trans. So I just want to make sure to say that this is my journey, and by all means does not speak for all transgender people. So, alright, let's get into it, because see, I'm already talking too much. Okay, so how I knew I was transgender, I definitely did not know when I was a kid. I did not have any language or reference point for what I was feeling. But also at the same time, I also didn't feel necessarily that what I was feeling or who I was necessarily wrong, because I grew up in a family that I had a lesbian aunt, and I don't know, I felt like we just grew up with this mentality that like whatever, like do what you want, free expression. So I never felt that how I was feeling was wrong, but I didn't have any words for what I was feeling. And I don't even think I was aware of what I was feeling until much later. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video. So yeah, I didn't really have any words. There were some things like back in grade school that I talked about in the last video that I was doing that may have indicated that I was having issues with my gender identity and expression. Like I was always a tomboy. I was always playing with the boys. I really hated wearing dresses and stuff like that. I think the big time that really hit was when I went to middle school, which is a really big time for, honestly, a lot of people. I mean, puberty's starting, you're starting to like the opposite sex or the same sex or no sex or whatever. You're starting to like people on a different level. You're growing up, and it's like a big time for everybody. And it was for me, but it was also like a time when the split between like males and females, or boys and girls, started to become more evident. Basically, just like in the I don't know, it was just like things were becoming more intimate between boys and girls, and that split was becoming larger, I guess. And also physically, bodies are changing, and that's a huge one. And so for me, that was a huge thing, when I just started to develop differently from my male peers and started to develop a feminine figure and all of that stuff. And especially when my period oh god, that was a huge thing for me. I remember like hiding it as long as possible because I didn't want anybody to know that I had gotten it. And once my family found out, like, it was like devastating almost to me. Like, I couldn't describe how that feeling felt. Like it was not good. So yeah, so from then on, like I ended up coming out as lesbian at some point and identifying as lesbian for a while, but during high school I started to get kind of just really anxious and depressed, and that's when I actually came across the term transgender. At that time I was also in counseling for some other stuff, so it was like the perfect opportunity to bring up my gender identity with somebody who could sort of help me out. This person wasn't a gender specific therapist, so they couldn't diagnose me or anything, but it was, you know, it was someone to talk to about confusing feelings that I was feeling at that point in time. Yeah, so after like talking about it for a while, I sat with it for a while and I realized that it resonated, and boom, that's what happened. And just to point this out, because I think this is really important, especially in these days, and just with any decision, major decision that you're gonna make in your life, is to always take your time. I didn't actually start anything like physically changing myself until the middle of my freshman year of college. So I came out my sophomore year of high school and didn't start till halfway through freshman year of college on T. So that's like 3 or 4 years to kind of let things like sit and simmer. Yeah, you just really don't want to rush, because if, you know, it's hard to tell if you're gonna make a mistake, or if you know, your gender dysphoria is due to something else or whatnot. I'm not gonna get into the whole detransitioning and you know, people thinking that they're trans and then realizing later after they've transitioned that they're not. But I would just say there's no need to rush. I didn't rush. I came out, I let it sit for a while, and then I began my transition. And also during that time, it doesn't have to be this like waiting period. Like you can do things to, you know, start your social transition. You can start dressing differently. You can cut your hair. You can change your name legally if you want to. I mean, you can always change your name, so it's like it's not a permanent thing that it's gonna be forever. But yeah, you can start doing things while you're waiting for your physical transition. Yeah, so that's basically how I knew. Just it was a thing that was just like, okay, this resonates. And oh yeah, I don't know. I guess that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Thanks for tuning in and watching. I love you guys. Bye.